I think most people have a Rocky in them, and that is a man who is dying to get out, dying to do whatever he wants to. Like, for example, if one man wants to be an artist, just for the ability to have the chance to be an artist, a man wants to be an athlete, he'd just like to carry that ball one time. So that's what I mean when there's a Rocky in each of us, but it's a fictional character. It's more of a state of a mind.
Czy wiesz, że Sylvester Stallone sam napisał scenariusz do filmu Rocky i jest to opowieść o jego prywatnym życiu? I nie, Stallone nigdy nie był bokserem. Jeżeli rozłożymy film na czynniki pierwsze, to widać, że jest to historia o podjęciu rękawicy, o walce o własne życie. Przed filmem Rocky Sylvester Stallone chodził na castingi, jednak nie miał siły przebicia, dlatego postanowił wziąć sprawy w swoje ręce. Tak mówił o tym etapie w życiu.
If I had known it was going to be this difficult, I wouldn't have done it. You know.
Really?
Yeah, because I think it was a classic case of blissful stupidity. No, really, seriously, because I didn't know you couldn't do something like this. Therefore, I didn't try. So, to me, it seemed very normal, honking your horn in the driveway of the producer and tapping on his window at all hours of the night and saying, please, please, please. And eventually, I think they just gave me the money to go away. What it is I took my particular plight, which isn't unique. It's every artist or any man who has ever wanted to do something, man or woman, meaning, that's wanted to do something that has not been able to do it because of the inability to get a break. The opportunity has never knocked on their door, for example. I knew that I was just turning 30 years old, and I was feeling, geez, I've been acting for 10 years and nothing was going to happen. So what if I just take my particular play, my inability to be recognized as an actor, and put him in boxing shorts and make it a down and out, downtrodden, real underdog? Because when you're a down and out underdog fighter, that's about as low down as you can get. Some people have said, well, this could never happen, that an underdog would get a shot at the title like this. Well, I'd like to take issue with that. Of course, it happened many, many hundreds of times. Ali has done it, and it happened with Joe Louis when he had the Bum of the Month Club, and it happens all the time. So it's a very, very feasible plot. It's just the most thing that had happened to me is a little miraculous. That's the only strange thing about it.
Fairly presumptuous of you, wasn't it, to expect to be able to star in it, because your career up to then had been small parts, right?
Yeah, that's kind of you to even say small. Yeah, they were. I was mostly what is known as atmosphere. I was in the background, or the guy that was the drunk that was being stepped over in the gutter, and other lame roles. But I felt that, geez, if I was going to go down, at least into professional obscurity, I wanted to at least have the opportunity to say to myself, well, you tried. You put your best foot forward, and you didn't make it. So that's what, I guess you might say, provoked me into writing the script, because it wasn't something that I had given a lot of thought to. I just knew that I had to do it one time, and it was innate. There's a line in the movie that Rocky says, well, my father told me I wasn't born with much of a brain, so I better develop my body. Well, that kind of happened to me at around 13, so I took it to heart. And it wasn't until I was 27 years old that I realized I did have a brain. I thought it was just a hollow drum up there. And in the meantime, I just lifted weights, but it paid off, and it's become a habit, and I've learned discipline from that. And from that discipline, I think that's what got me through the writing and all that every day, that mundane chore is very boring, very long. My father, he's my old man. He was never too smart. He says to me, you weren't born much of a brain, you know, so you better start using your body, right? So I've become a fighter.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Why you laughing?
My mother, she said the opposite thing.
What'd she say? What'd she say the opposite?
She said you weren't born much of a body, so you better develop your brain.
After all, when you first went along with your script, I mean, they liked the script, but they were so desperate not to have you that they kept offering you increasingly large sums of money to go away, didn't they?
Right, it went up to about $265,000.
Not to appear in the film.
Right, to stay away, to get off my lawn, boy. But what they didn't count on is, when a person hasn't had that type of money, they really don't miss it. In other words, if you haven't ridden in a Rolls Royce, you don't mind bouncing around in a Volkswagen. You don't have that frame of reference. But more than that, I knew that if I sold it, even for $500,000, I knew that after the money was gone, I would become very bitter for having sold out, because my one love was to at least fail on my own terms. I wanted to see if I could act, because all these bit parts that you're talking about, you really couldn't say this kid had talent or he was just a big fake. So they were caught up in kind of like the enthusiasm. Jeez, wow, my God, well, why not? All right, we'll give them a chance, and they put a lot of clauses in the contract, like if I fell in love with my leading man, or if, if I curse a nun, or if I don't brush my teeth, or whatever, I could be removed from the script after production after 5 to 10 days. But all that aside, I really think that they just wanted to get rid of me. And they said, well, let's put him in a movie. That'll get rid of him for 2 months. You know, that kind of thing. And slowly they began to see, well, perhaps he's got something. They first showed it to Jimmy Caan, and then Burt Reynolds and Ryan O'Neal and Gene Hackman and Robert Redford, and they showed it to all these people. But I kept saying, I work a lot cheaper and a lot harder and for a lot longer. And also I think that they were taken up with kind of like the pioneer spirit of it. It wasn't going to, it's a small movie. It was made for like 1/10 or 1/15 of what they pay on, say, a James Bond movie or Pink Panther.
It cost about $1 million, in fact.
Well, it came in at $960,000, which is what a good toothpaste commercial cost in the United States, really. So.
And you did it, in fact, for a very small fee. Was it $20,000 plus a percentage?
Right, $20,000, and what we have is a Screen Actors Guild minimum, which is about $600 a week, $620 after taxes. Up until that time, I was bluffing. You know, they said, yeah, I can act, I'm a good actor, just give me a chance. Of course I can do it, I can out-act anybody, don't worry about it. Then they said, okay, do it. They called my bluff. Now, if I go out there and make a fool out of myself, I've wasted $1 million, I've destroyed my reputation. Any young artist that comes along and says that they'd like to make a movie, they're gonna say, hey, don't you remember Stallone? You want to make a bomb? And my name would be synonymous with turkeys and bombs. They say, hey, why don't you go out and make a Stallone film? Which would mean turkey all the time, or tax write-off. Make a Stallone movie for tax write-off. So it was tremendous fear. And when that fear subsided was at the last second, as I was going out of the trailer. We ride around these trailers to the set. It was freezing, it was about 4:30 in the morning, the winds were blowing down the street, very dramatic, and it was cold, and there was the Philadelphia City Hall clock there lit up, and the wind was blowing, and mist and all that. And as I'm pulling out of stepping out of the trailer, I passed this mirror, and I said, all right, now you're gonna do it, or you're gonna sit here and become a bum for the rest of your life. Are you into the character? Are you the character? And someone outside said, all right, Sylvester, let's go. I said, no, you got the name wrong, it's Rocky. Bang, right away, and I felt that when it said, geez, I'm not Sylvester anymore, I gotta be this character. As soon as I stepped out, and I saw the director laying in all this wind and dust, and everyone was so into it that I felt very, very safe. I've always felt that if you give your best to something, and even if you don't win, but you know you've given the best, and unfortunately you just don't have the equipment to overpower your foe, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Rocky, when he went to the arena and realized he can't win, he can't win. Why is he kidding himself? I thought it was very sad because I would interview many fighters, and it seems like a fighter has never lost. A man can have a record of 1 win and 400 losses, but he's never lost.
That's right.
It was the weather, he had a toothache, his hair was messed up, sun got in his eyes, every excuse.
You met a lot of golfers in your day.
Right, I say, admit it, you lost, and then you can start rebuilding. As long as you live this illusion, this false reality, that's when it becomes crippling, and you eat inside, you become crazy. So Rocky that night goes, he looks over the situation, and he comes back to his girlfriend and says, I can't win, but I don't care. If I can stand up, that's good enough. And that to me is very important. I feel that anyone, whatever their chosen profession, if they can at least have the opportunity to try. If they fail, all right, but at least give them the opportunity. That's all. Like I said before we came on, I would have done the whole thing for like a donut and a tuna fish sandwich. The money meant nothing. It was the opportunity to at least prove to myself that I wasn't a liar, that I wasn't living a life of disillusionment, because that's very difficult when you think of yourself as being a very creative person, and you turn around and at, say, 40, 50, 60 years old, you realize, gee, you're not so creative, you're terrible, you've been leading a lie.
Sylvester Stallone spełnił swoje marzenie. Scenariusz do filmu Rocky napisał w 3,5 dnia. Jeżeli nadal nie wiesz, co zrobić ze swoimi marzeniami, to daj sobie szansę. Nawet jeżeli inni nie dają ci nadziei, weź sprawy w swoje ręce i stwórz moment, bo kto powiedział, że tak się nie da?